Imagine waking up on a market morning and having the same feeling you get when you walk outside into unpredictable weather. Is it calm? Is there a storm on the way? Or are you just hoping the clouds behave while you're already halfway down the road? Most traders and investors live in that kind of uncertainty every single day. They open their screens, they see 1,000 flashing numbers, and they're asked to make real decisions with real money, based mostly on noise. News feeds, social posts, random charts, hot lists, and someone's opinion on the last stock that moved. It's like trying to steer a small boat by watching every ripple on the water instead of looking out at the whole ocean. Lime exists for people who are tired of that chaos. People who want a clear, simple, honest read on the overall conditions before they decide what to do. This is not about predicting the future. It's about reading the present accurately. About knowing, is the market acting like calm, flat water? Is it choppy and tiring? Is it turning nasty? Or are we on full storm watch? In this explainer, you're going to see how Lime turns the market from a wall of noise into something more like a weather report. Not perfect, not magical, but structured, repeatable, and grounded in data. If you've ever wished, just tell me what the day feels like, in plain language, before I trade. Then Lime was built with you in mind. Lime starts from a simple belief. Before you zoom into one stock, you should understand the state of the sea you're sailing on. Most tools jump straight into individual setups. Lime does the opposite. It begins with market context. Think of the market as an ocean. You have tides, currents, waves, and occasional storms. On any given day, you don't control any of that, but you can decide whether to stay in the harbor, hug the coastline, or head out into open water. Lime's job is to read those big forces and translate them into something a human can actually use. Not a PhD-level white paper, not a secret algorithm you're never allowed to understand. Just a clear sense of conditions. Under the hood, Lime looks at how strong or weak key indexes and sectors are, how leadership is rotating or failing to rotate, where breadth and momentum are quietly changing, whether the tone of the market supports aggressive risk or demands respect. Those ingredients are then shaped into a small family of custom indicators that talk to each other. They're tuned to give behavioral clues rather than single-shot trade calls. The analogy is weather again. A single gust of wind doesn't matter much. A pattern in the wind, the clouds, the pressure, and the tide is what tells you if the day is safe or dangerous. Lime's worldview is that you make better decisions when you see the pattern, not just the gust. You respect risk and volatility as real forces, not enemies. You choose position size and aggressiveness based on the weather, not your mood. If that resonates with you, then the rest of Lime's toolset will feel like a natural extension of how you already think. Now let's walk through the Lime indicator family in plain language. You don't need to know every formula behind them. You just need to know what each one is trying to tell you. First, there are leadership indicators. These track which parts of the market are actually pulling the boat forward. Not just what's moving today, but what has been carrying real weight over time. Second, there are breadth and power indicators. These are Lime's way of asking, is this move supported by the market as a whole or just a few flashy names? When breadth and power agree, conditions tend to be more trustworthy. When they fight, the sea gets tricky. Third, there are risk and stress indicators. They listen for signs that volatility is rising, that buyers are getting tired, or that sellers are quietly gaining control. When these light up, Lime doesn't shout, "Run for the hills." It simply raises the storm flag. Be careful with new exposure. Tighten the sails. Respect the environment. Together, these indicators feed into simple, intuitive labels. Calm, flat water. Choppy, nasty. Storm watch. On a calm, flat water day, Lime is essentially saying, the market is cooperating. This is a better backdrop for taking risk, provided your setups make sense. On a choppy day, the moves are still tradable, but they're less forgiving. You may need quicker decisions and smaller size. On a nasty day, something is off. Either step back or be extremely selective. Treat the environment as hostile. And on full storm watch, this is the kind of day where capital preservation becomes the main objective. Sit tight, shrink risk, or stay in port. The power of Lime isn't that any single indicator is magical. It's that the set is designed to produce a readable, human-scale picture of what the market is doing to you, or for you, before you press the button. That's why Lime doesn't try to be everything. It doesn't replace your strategy. It doesn't tell you what you must trade. It acts like a harbor master saying, "Here's today's weather. You decide how far you want to sail." Now let's put this into a morning routine. Picture this. It's early, coffee in hand, screens lighting up, but before you chase any ticker, you check your harbor brief. The harbor brief is Lime's daily snapshot of conditions. It answers 3 practical questions. 1. What kind of market weather are we walking into? 2. Which areas of the market, if any, are quietly leading or breaking down? 3. Given that, how should risk-taking feel today? On a good morning, your harbor brief might say something like, "Today's conditions are closer to calm flat water. Leadership is present and somewhat stable. Breadth supports the move for now. Risk is not eliminated, but the sea is cooperative." On a tougher day, it might read, "Conditions are choppy to nasty. Leadership is fragmented. Breadth is weak, and stress indicators are elevated. If you trade, do so with tighter risk and lower expectations." In both cases, the key is clarity before activity. You're not waking up to random opinions. You're waking up to a consistent framework that translates complex data into a simple narrative you can act on. Over time, this routine does something powerful. It teaches your brain to separate market conditions from your emotions. You start to recognize, "Oh, this kind of day. I know what that usually leads to for me." Maybe you see that you tend to overtrade in choppy conditions. Maybe you realize that on calm days, you can afford to lean a bit harder into your best setups. The harbor brief becomes not just a report, but a rhythm. A pre-market conversation between you, the ocean, and the tools that help you read it. That's the heart of Lime. Less guessing, less reacting, more reading, understanding, and then deciding. If you're still listening, it's probably because something in this way of seeing the market makes sense to you. You're not asking for a miracle system. You're asking for a clear framework in human language that respects risk and reality. Lime is one attempt to answer that need. A set of indicators, a harbor brief, a way of talking about the market like weather rather than constant drama. Here's what you can do next. First, reflect on your own trading or investing. Think about the days that hurt the most. Were they really about your strategy or about the environment you were trading in? Second, consider whether having a daily market weather read would change how you show up. Would you size differently? Would you trade less on the worst days? Would you sleep better? Third, if this resonates, stay connected. You can use this video as a reference point, return to the framework, and decide if Lime should become part of your routine. This is not a promise of easy money. It's an invitation to trade and invest in a more honest partnership with the market's reality. The ocean will always be bigger than any one boat. But with the right kind of preparation and the right kind of daily brief, you don't have to feel lost in it. Thank you for spending this time with Lime. Here's to calmer decisions, clearer weather reports, and a more sustainable relationship with the markets you sail.